Support for NPR and the following message come from IXL Learning. IXL Learning uses advanced algorithms to give the right help to each kid no matter the age or personality. Get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when you sign up today at IXL.com/NPR.
Hey, this is another one of our resuscitated episodes, which we're bringing you every other week. You're probably used to the cadence at this point. What I'm saying right now is probably unnecessary.
Just know this episode contains one of our favorite segments with one of our favorite guests ever, Sir Patrick Stewart.
And I'm just going to say, he performs the role of a lifetime.
Hey, Rachel, what can we help you with?
I was wondering if you could find out how do cows moo? Well, how would a person moo in a British accent?
I think the place to start would be, how do you moo?
I moo with an American kind of Nevadan accent going moo.
That's pretty standard cow.
Yeah. How long would you say that you've been wondering about this?
It's been a couple months.
You run into cows as part of your daily life?
Not so much, just kind of pass them.
Okay, as you pass them by. And do you ever try and engage them in conversation?
Nah, they're too far away, usually.
It's possible the cows you're passing are British, but you've never talked to them.
Maybe, I hope so. That'd be really cool.
Or maybe they're looking at you going, I wonder what one of those sounds like with a British accent.
All right, well, we are going to find you an answer, and
okay.
We'll talk to you soon. Well, this certainly seems like something Sir Patrick Stewart, star of Stage and Screen, could help with.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Ian.
Hello.
So, Patrick Stewart, you heard Rachel's question.
And you'd like me to answer that question, which I'm happy to do. It's not a straightforward, simple answer. Unlike probably many other countries where a cow's moo is a cow's moo, in England, you understand, we are dominated by class, by social status, and by location. So, for example, a cow that is in a field next to my house in West Oxfordshire would moo in one kind of way, and a cow in a field in the semi-industrial town I grew up in the north of England, would moo in another kind of way.
Huh.
Am I clear so far?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if I were at home in West Oxfordshire right now and I walk down my lane and there are always cows in the fields and I say, hi, good morning, cows, and they would moo at me like this. Moo. Now, that's a very conservative moo. You must understand that I live in the constituency of David Cameron, who is a Tory, and I assume these cows voted for him. I don't actually vote there. I vote in another place in London.
Okay.
But if I were at my home in Yorkshire, where I grew up, and I went out, and not that there are many fields left where I grew up, but I would find one, and I would find some cows. What you'd hear would be something like this. I'll do that again. You can hear the difference, can't you?
That is a stark difference.
Yeah. Well, this is all to do with environmental and cultural conditioning. Now, then, and I know we don't have time really to go into this in detail. We'd need the whole afternoon. But what you're understanding is that the English moo changes from location to location.
Well, our caller who asked this question is from Nevada. I wonder if you're familiar with the sounds of American cows, if you want to give us your impression of that.
Well, it's very funny you should say that, but my wife is also from Nevada, so I have some experience of Nevada cattle. And if you like, I can give you my impression of a Nevada cow.
Wow. It's a much higher pitch.
You hear the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah, much higher pitch. And it's much more nasal because, of course, that's the way you people talk. And, of course, the cows are influenced by how you talk as you are influenced by the cows.
One of the things we know about English culture is that breeding is so important for people. And it's something we talk about also with cattle. So what would a cow that is the most well-bred, how would that cow moo?
Well, this is a very interesting question, and I really don't have the time to go into it in detail. But We had a prime minister many, many years ago called Alec Douglas Hume. And one of the wonderful things about Alec Douglas Hume, including his name, by the way, and you would think that his name was probably spelled H-O-O-M-E-H-U-M-L or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
His name was actually spelled H-O-M-E, home, but it was pronounced Hume. And that we do that mostly to confuse Americans, like Leicester Square and Leicester and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, the thing about Alec Douglas Hume was that he didn't move his lips when he talked. I'll give an example. This is how the other class they don't actually move their lips, because moving your lips is terribly bad taste. You understand me? So if Alec Douglas Hume had cattle, and I'm sure he did, he must have been a landowner, because I think he was actually Scottish. His cows would have moved something like this. Very refined, very sophisticated.
Yeah. Well, Sir Patrick, thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome. I enjoyed talking to you.
This is How to Do Everything. I'm Mike.
And I'm Ian. On today's show, we'll tell you how to insult people properly. But first...
Hey, Casey. What can we help you with?
So I actually called to see if you guys could help me find a better way to pour root beer.
Okay.
I love root beer, and I always I'll pour it, and it foams up to there's just a tiny bit of root beer at the bottom, and it foams up to the top of the glass and floats over, and I'm looking for a better way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, what have you tried?
So I've tried a lot of stuff. I'll put it in the fridge for a while so it's nice and cold, or and then I'll pour it over ice or pour it at room temperature. I've actually tried to get it really close to frozen because I don't know why, but I feel like it's going to do a better job when it's cold, but nothing seems to work. I actually poured a cup of root beer earlier today, and I had to sit and wait 15, 20 seconds for the foam to go down just because nothing works.
And you're missing valuable root beer time when you're waiting for the foam.
Yeah, I mean these are seconds I'll never get back.
Do you have a root beer with you right now?
I can go grab one right now. Yeah.
Let's see if we can hear your technique.
All right, let me go and get a cup real quick.
I'm a little worried that Casey might have a root beer problem.
Yeah, it's the addiction that we need to address before the foam.
Oh, hold on.
That could be something also that we needed to address, but that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
All right, so let me see. I'll go ahead and I'll pour, and I'll put the phone near the cup so you guys can hear.
Thanks.
All right. I just poured it, and it's like 3/4 foam and a little bit of soda at the bottom right now, just sitting there.
Huh. We are going to try and find some help for you.
That sounds great. I can't wait to hear what you guys find out.
All right, we've got Guy Crosby on the line. He's the science editor for America's Test Kitchen.
Guy, can you help out Casey?
Oh, there are a number of solutions that should at least reduce the amount of foaming. So when you think of sugar, the more you...
All right, Guy is talking now, and he's saying a lot of scientific things that might be hard to absorb, so we'll just try and sum it up quickly.
All right, the colder a liquid gets, the higher the concentration of gas you can dissolve in it. So colder root beer has more carbon dioxide in it.
And also the pressure of the bottle keeps the gas in the liquid.
So when you pour cold root beer into a warm or room temperature glass, the gas comes rushing out, and you get even more foam. It's even worse because there's no longer pressure holding it in.
Okay, now we're going to go back to Guy.
The other thing I would say is that when you pour the beverage, the root beer, into a glass, the thing that really triggers sudden release of all this gas are what's called nucleation sites. And these are places when the gas bubbles can develop and then suddenly release. And these are things like a little bit of lint or imperfections in the glass, like little teeny tiny scratches you can't even see.
So does that mean the more irregular the surface that you're pouring the root beer onto, the more foam you're going to get?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's one thing you can do. Another thing is, of course, you could chill down the glass. It's going to help to maintain the temperature of the liquid and maintain the greater solubility that the gas has at lower temperatures.
Okay.
Oh, well, the other thing you can do is, and this comes back to sort of the art of champagne. When you have a high surface area glass like a goblet, it's going to trigger the more release more rapidly of the gas versus a tall, thin glass, which has less surface area to contact the liquid and, cause the gas to be released either due to temperature or to nucleation sites. So if Casey used a real tall, thin glass that he had chilled down in the freezer, and one that was really, really, really clean, maybe even almost new, then you'd have a good chance of having much less fizzing.
It makes the daily drinking of root beer a lot more festive in a flute, though.
Yeah, it would.
How much do you think it would cost, Guy, to get a champagne flute fitted with a handle?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know that I know that. I do know I went to gave a lecture at the University of Toledo, and it was in their chemistry department, and they have a glass blower there. And he makes special mugs. They gave me one to take home, which was tall and narrow with a handle on it. So I think it would work out just right.
You have reached Steve Mulder at the University of Toledo Glass Shop. I am either out of the office or I have my hands full of hot glass. Please leave a detailed message, including your name and phone number, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. Thank you.
Hello, Steve. This is Mike and Ian from NPR. We got your number from Guy Crosby. We want to talk to you about...
Hello.
Hello, Steve.
Just walked in. What's up?
Hey, it's Mike and Ian from How to Do Everything at NPR.
All right.
How's it going?
Good. What's going on there?
So we got your number from Guy Crosby, and we were talking to him, and he told us about the mug you made for him.
Uh-huh.
And so, well, we had a special request. We have a listener who really loves root beer.
Uh-huh.
And he doesn't like that when he pours his root beer, it creates all this root beer foam.
Uh-huh.
And Guy said that there's really no better glass to minimize your root beer foam than the type you made, the skinny with the handle.
Uh-huh.
What could we do to get our hands on one of those?
Yeah, I can put a mug together for you. Tell me what you want. The mug will probably be around $10.
That's great.
We can handle that.
Yeah, we can cover that.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Uh-huh.
If you have any questions, feel free to send them to us. Send them to our email, howto@npr.org.
Maybe you have a question about your cow. Maybe you have a question about root beer. Maybe your cow refuses to drink the root beer you're offering her. If that's your question, send it to us at howto@npr.org.
No matter what your question is, we guarantee we will find a knight of the British Order to answer it.
This message comes from Schwab. With Schwab investing themes, it's easy to invest in ideas you believe in, like online music and videos, artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, and more. Schwab's research uncovers emerging trends, then their technology curates relevant stocks into over 40 themes to choose from. Schwab Investing Themes is not intended to be investment advice or a recommendation of any stock or investment strategy. Visit schwab.com/thematic investing. Support for NPR and the following message come from Rosetta Stone, the perfect app to achieve your language learning goals no matter how busy your schedule gets. It's designed to maximize study time with immersive 10-minute lessons and audio practice for your commute. Plus, tailor your learning plan for specific objectives like travel. Get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off and unlimited access to 25 language courses. Learn more at rosettastone.com/NPR. This message comes from NPR sponsor SiriusXM. Atlas Obscura explores the world's hidden wonders. Along the way, you'll meet some fascinating people and hear their stories. Listen to Atlas Obscura wherever you get your podcasts.
The week we first ran this episode, the late Archbishop Desmond Tutu had just referred to the government of South Africa as a, quote, lick-spittle bunch.
We hadn't heard that term before, so we called up Ammon Shea, co-author of the book Depraved and Insulting English.
So, Eamon, lickspittle, is this a term you're familiar with?
Yes. A fawning sycophant or parasite.
Oh.
Someone who licks the spit of another, I imagine.
You would have to be pretty fawning to do that, I guess.
Right.
So are there any other kind of old or archaic insults that we should bring back?
There's one of my personal favorites is a cacinator, which is a word for somebody who either laughs too much or laughs too loudly.
A cacinator.
Who's very closely related generally to the sialoquent, who's somebody who actually spits when they speak. I mean, we just call them spitters, I guess, but sialoquent has a kind of more noble ring to it. But I think my all-time favorite insult is probably a bayard, B-A-Y-A-R-D, because it's so applicable in so many areas of life. And a bayard is a person who is armed with the self-confidence of ignorance.
Like a confident idiot.
Not just a confident idiot, but somebody who is confident because of their idiocy, I think. One of the things that I think is delightful about English is how ridiculously specific it can be in so many circumstances. You know, pricklouse was not what it sounds like, fortunately. A pricklouse was a derogatory term for a tailor in the 17th century.
Huh.
A rapin, R-A-P-I-N, was a word for an unruly art student. I'm not quite sure why we needed such specific words for these things, but they came up, and somebody filed them away for future use, I suppose.
So, Eamon, when you're driving, what do you yell at the people who cut you off in traffic, knowing that you have this arsenal of insults at your fingertips?
I don't. I'm sorry to say.
Come on, really?
Well, first of all, I live in New York City, so I do very little driving.
Right.
Well, let's say someone from, I don't know, the 1600s, 1700s, was transported into the future and suddenly became a cab driver in New York City. What might they yell?
They would yell probably Jehu, which was a very archaic insult for a unruly, ferocious, or unreasonable driver. Jehu comes from the Old Testament, and I think Jehu was the son of Nimshi, and he was known in the Old Testament in those circles for being a particularly reckless charioteer. And so Jehu kind of extended itself into the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries as a synonym for a reckless driver.
So, like, can you believe this, Jehu?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, Eamon, thanks for telling us about this stuff.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
You're a real pricklouse.
That's exactly what I've heard that before.
Well, that does it for this week's show. What'd you learn, Ian?
I learned that the perfect vessel for drinking root beer is actually a champagne flute.
What it means, though, is that you could have a situation where you have a root beer float flute.
You could have a root beer float flute.
The key is to make sure you regulate the root beer flow when making a root beer float flute.
Because the overflow in the float flute could end up on the floor.
I learned that a cacinator is somebody who laughs too much.
Yeah, when you think about it, like, imagine how different the Terminator would have been if it was the cacinator.
I'm a friend of Sarah Connor. I'll be back.
How to Do Everything is produced by Jillian Donovan, with technical direction from Lorna White.
Our intern this week is Jeff Bartle,
PhD. Our artist in residence is Justin Whitty.
You can get us your questions at howto@npr.org.
Our website is howtodoeverything.org. I'm Ian.
And I'm Mike.
Thanks.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Rosetta Stone, an expert in language learning for 30 years. Right now, NPR listeners can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership to 25 different languages for 50% off. Learn more at rosettastone.com/NPR.
This message comes from Random House Children's Books with The Glass Girl. Grief, anxiety, pressure, Bella finds ways to cope until she doesn't. From the author of #1 New York Times bestseller and TikTok sensation Girl in Pieces comes a raw, heart-wrenching novel exploring the forces pushing young women toward addiction and what it takes to help them get better. Crack your life and heart wide open with The Glass Girl by Kathleen Glasgow, available now. This message is brought to you by Warby Parker. Their glasses start at $95, including anti-reflective, scratch-resistant prescription lenses that block 100% of UV rays. Try 5 pairs of frames at home for free. Go to warbyparker.com/covered.